Things getting shaky defensively for the Antlers. 1-1, that one's hit into the outfield. That's going to fall in the gap and score 2. Runner rounds third, the throw to second, the relay home. It pulls him off the bag, and McClure advances to second. The Wildcats have taken the lead.
Sims gets all of that one. It's going back at the wall, and it's gone.
The 3-2 again. Back up the middle. Edgar had to duck out of the way as that was lasered into center field, and another run is in for the Spartans.
Quick throw in by Mendez. There's Bermejo. Bermejo with some moves, gets around the defense. Here's a shot by Bermejo, and it's in.
Here it is into the middle of the field. Here's an opportunity, and it's swung on and scored.
Off. It's right in front of goal. Lamb, doesn't get to it. It's put in by the Antlers. It's goal number 2.
Caden Brown, what do you got? Oh, and it's in. It goes low left side. And just like that, Caden Brown regains the lead. And it's saved right to Nichols.
1-for-1. Hits this one high center field. That's going to be trouble, and it's gone. Home run, a 3-run home run.
To the plate. Base is still loaded. Simpson swinging out into center field. It drops down. Here's JT, Jordan Thomas, driving this to the alley in right. 1 run is home. Coots in to score. The sin sign is on. Throw to the plate and sliding safely. The 1-2. Just past the pitcher. The throw home, not in time.
Oh, we had a great day on KREFSports.tv yesterday. 12 events being aired on our network on Tuesday night. Welcome to this week's edition of the KREF High School Huddle on our KREFSports.tv YouTube channel. Remember, as always, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook as well. We've got highlights, graphics, and summaries from all of our games and whatever other content that we decide to put out as well of the 15 schools that we're covering here in Oklahoma. That's Connor. I'm Grayson. Glad you're with us. Let's go ahead and start with something that's upcoming as we look at the baseball 6A1 district standings. Edmond North and Edmond Memorial, if you look, are at the top of the district standings, both at 4-0. And great treat for us. They play each other 5 days from the day we're recording this. They'll play each other on March 31st to kick off a 2-game home and home in the district. So 4-0 teams. Edlum baseball should be a fun 2 days next Monday and Tuesday, right?
Yeah, Grayson, both these teams, it's always fun when they gear up and face off against each other, especially early on in the season. Edmond North undefeated in district play. Even though the teams that have played, they've been at the bottom of the district, so obviously the competition will start to get tougher for Edmond North. But Memorial has really been impressive so far this season. And unlike Edmond North, they've played a tough schedule so far, and they were one of the top teams in the 6A, really like in the whole nation. I mean, when you look at it, top 25 teams in the nation coming in the high school level, Edmond Memorial was ranked, and they're showing why they were so far this season. They got big pieces. Cardokas, who's a Nebraska commit for them, guys like Tyler Robinson that we saw from last year, Laird Williams, the big man on the mound for them. He's a great pitcher. So they got big wins so far early on in the season over Choctaw, Mustang, Piedmont, early on against Fort Cobb. Boxton, who's a number 1 in Class B, so that's a good test for Edmond Memorial. So, yeah, always fun when those two teams play against each other.
Yeah, and you know that first game when both of them are going to come in, presumably undefeated, again, depending on what happens over the weekend, is going to be one that's going to be a party. Both of those games at North and Memorial, respectively. Memorial has seemed to live up to that billing as one of the top teams in the country thus far into the year. I've got the schedule right here. You mentioned the win over Choctaw. We'll talk about Piedmont in just a second. Defeated a Blue Valley, Kansas team, or that was their only loss. Pardon me. That's their only loss so far, 16-8 over the last weekend during the Spring Break Festival. So they've taken care of business. So far this year, 9-1 on the year. It's a really good start for Edmond Memorial. Also, right behind them is UConn, and then in third place in that district is the defending state champion Westmore, is 1 game back of UConn. So UConn hanging in there at 3-1, and they're a little bit of a team that you should have seen coming. Maybe you didn't see it because Westmore's also in the district and they won the whole thing last year. But UConn has been really impressive to this point in the year.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season for them after losing their first 3 games of the season. When things started to change for them is when they beat Westmore twice, and they started to get behind themselves, started to play much better baseball. As of late, they have Grady Hoke on the mound, who's a Cali commit for them, and they got plenty of other options on the mound. Their pitching's been top-notch so far early on in the season for UConn.
Yeah, their pitching has certainly been the story. The offense has come alive as of recent. They were able in Florida to put up a 13 spot over a team in Alabama and a 16 spot over a team from Gulf Breeze. Unfortunately, that ended up in a 17-16 loss. So what
high-scoring game.
what fun would that game been? But then you come back against Booker T. Washington from Florida and beat them 14-2. So the bats have started to come alive, and it's just one of those things. This UConn team at 7-6 right now, but 3-1 in the district. If you can get everything on the same page, clicking at the same time, the Miller team could certainly be dangerous because they've shown they can be effective on the mound, and they've certainly been effective as of late in the batter's box as well. Yeah,
they can be dangerous, and we've seen good UConn teams in the past, especially 2 years ago when they made a trip to the state tournament, lost in the first round, but that was a great team that they had. So, I mean, UConn always has pieces that they can work with, young talent, some veteran guys in the lineup as well, so they're starting to click now.
UConn will be at the Choctaw tournament, who is another excellent team in 6A. They're going to be a problem in terms of competing for the state championship. So they're at the Choctaw tournament where their first game will be against Bixby, another team we'll talk about here in just a second. And then they will have a district home and home with PC North on Monday and Tuesday. To 6A District 2 for baseball, where this might be the most hotly contested district in all of 6A, in all the 4 districts. Piedmont is atop the district, tied with Choctaw. They are both unbeaten after Piedmont sweeps Deer Creek in a home and home on Monday and Tuesday. Got a pair of really close wins, 1-2 at Deer Creek on Monday, 1-1 at home on Tuesday, in a comeback win where Piedmont was down 4-0. Now, this Piedmont team, you talk about a balanced lineup. On Monday, they got a lot of their production from a freshman named Blaine Hollingshed, who was batting 6th in the lineup. So there are no outs in the lineup with this team. There's no automatic outs. There's no guy you can, pitch around or not pitch around to, but just take for granted here because top to bottom, Andy Skokowski has a pretty good Wildcat lineup.
He does, and going back to what you said earlier about that district, it is tough with Choctaw, Santa Fe, Piedmont, teams that we know too, Moore, Norman North, who started off the season hot. But yeah, Piedmont, when you pitch to them, there's no easy out when you're facing these hitters, and they are off to a great start. Those 2 nail-biting wins over Deer Creek, an Antlers team that's, they're always going to be solid every single year. So that's a great sign for Piedmont so far, the way the season's been going.
Yeah, Piedmont 8-4 right now. They are 4-0 in the district, the only unbeaten team in the district, along with Choctaw. Edmond Santa Fe right behind them. And if you followed our KREFsports.tv Twitter page, as we recommend that you do, and see the highlights, you've seen Savion Sims has started to come alive. Homered last night, came back and pitched for the first time this season. On Monday, looked really good in 2+ innings of work. Edmond Santa Fe, all of a sudden, they're finally got that last piece there. And the Wolves are a very dangerous team this year.
No, they are. And when people talk about Savion Sims, they always talk about his arm, but they also don't know that he can swing it when he's in the lineup, too. And he showed that with that 2-run shot that he had yesterday against Norman North. But Savion Sims, is a great sign to get him back on the mound. One of the top pitchers we have in the 6A level. Throws hard. I mean, mid-90s. He's got a great slider that is 83, 84, so he's a tough kid on the mound, and it is not easy to hit against him. And Brumbaugh, of course, the Arkansas commit in the infield and at short. He can also come and pitch as well, so Santa Fe's got some incredible pieces that they've had from the last few years, and they continue to get better.
Another stacked lineup as well for Santa Fe. It'll be interesting to see if guys like, excuse me, like Savion Sims and Carson Brumbaugh, what their draft stock is.
It's going to keep rising, I know.
I mean, especially Savion Sims being a 2026 guy, and Carson Brumbaugh, obviously, he's a senior this year. Right behind them are Moore and Norman North, and Norman North started off the season winning their first 5 games. However, the Timberwolves, including where they were in Gulf Shores over spring break, have lost 5 of their last 7. So Norman North has kind of come back to level a little bit as well. Moore hanging in there as well. And then Deer Creek right behind them.
Yeah, and Norman North, I mean, it's not easy to start off district play with some tough games against Santa Fe. So the schedule is getting tougher for Norman North, but I still think they're a pretty solid team that they're going to find themselves in the middle of that district. But it is just tough top to bottom in this District 6A2.
Yeah, no, Santa Fe defeated Norman North in both of those games. And as a matter of fact, the cumulative score in that home and home was 28-6 in favor of Edmond Santa Fe. So, no, and again, a quality Norman North team that Santa Fe did that too. So
the hitting and the pitching for Santa Fe, and we saw Savion Sims for the first time throw those 2 innings in that first game against Norman North. So that's a great time to get Savion Sims back on the mound, and also helps when you can
struck out 4.
Yeah, struck out 4, and it also helps when you put up that many runs to give him a cushion like that.
Let's go to the east side and 6A District 4, because this gets a little bit interesting. 2 teams tied atop of 6A District 4, the 11-2 Bixby Spartans and a 7-2 Stillwater Pioneer team, who might have the best overall player in the state, with Ethan Holiday being said, and there's no doubt he will be a top 3 pick in the MLB draft. But let's focus on Bixby here for a second. 11-2, 4-0 in the district. It'll be those 2 schools atop the district when the season is all said and done. Get this about Bixby. This is a high-profile offensive team. They have only scored less than 7 runs 3 times this year. They've even won one of those games where they scored less than 7 runs. And I know you've been out there a couple of times to see baseball. What impresses you the most about this Spartan team?
Well, it's top and bottom in the lineup for Bixby, and they brought back some key returners from last year that helps with Brian Justice, Stanley, Copus behind the plate for the Bixby Spartans. So it's a team that is like some of the other teams that we cover. They're hard to pitch to. They're very disciplined at the plate, and they got a lot of power back there. So the Spartans have been really impressive.
You know, you can always tell a lot about how well a team can translate and how good a team really is when you go to these spring break games like they did. So Bixby took a trip out to Florida, out to Florida over spring break, and they went 3-1 in that. Or actually, or I take that back, 5-1. They played 6 games over the spring break weekend. So 5-1 in that spring break. The only loss was to First Academy out of Orlando. Yeah. So Bixby team looking really, really good.
Yeah, the bats for Bixby, and part of the game that they needed to focus more on for this year is their pitching. And Cooper Leggett has been a guy that we've seen a few times when we've been out there. He's a big kid at 6'7", that has given them some good innings so far this year.
Yeah, no doubt. By the way, our play of the game, speaking of Bixby, our play of the day and the best thing we might have seen yesterday comes courtesy of one Bixby soccer player and this guy making the call. Take a listen.
Quick throw in by Mendez. Here's Bermejo. Bermejo with some moves, gets around the defense. Here's a shot by Bermejo, and it's in! The moves and the shot by Bermejo gives Bixby the 2-1 lead.
How about that for Bixby? And by the way, that transitions us to soccer, because last night we had 2 big soccer finishes on KREFsports.tv. We'll go to Westmore first, because there was a goal with 7 minutes left to go that put Edmond North on top on the road over the Jaguars, and Ethan Higgs had the call on KREFsports.tv.
Caden Brown, what do you got? Oh, and it's in! It goes low left side! And just like that, Caden Brown regains the lead for Edmond North in a game that has been nothing short of dramatic, nothing short of fantastic.
With the win, Edmond North goes to 3-1 on the boys' side of things. They've put up 3 goals or more, actually 3 goals in total in each of their last 3 games, wins over Enid, Norman, and Westmore, and have outscored their opponents 9-3 in that span. So Edmond North looking really, really good as we come out of spring break. The other big finish, we had Edlum soccer on the girls' side of things at Edmond Santa Fe, and it came down to penalty kicks between Edmond Memorial and Edmond Santa Fe, and our own Karsten Melton took us through the end.
And it's saved right to Nichols. The save from Claire Nichols. She is mobbed by her teammates. And Edmond Memorial complete the comeback and win Edlum.
So yeah, that was a great save, ended up in PKs. We love when Edlum, and that's why I started this show with the preview of Edlum baseball between Edmond North and Edmond Memorial that's going to be next week, because those Edlum sports, no matter how much of a gap those teams perceive that there is, they're always going to play them tough. And this one came down to PKs.
Yeah, they always are. And so many great soccer teams that we have for the Edmond schools, Edmond North, Memorial, and Santa Fe. Really on both sides, girls and boys, they always put together a competitive team. And it's always fun to get to cover those games because, you know, it's a rival. Anything can happen. You throw out the record books in soccer games, and it's always fun.
Yeah, so now Edmond Memorial on the girls' side have won 3 of their first 4 games. They've scored 4, 3, and 3 goals in the games that they've won. The only loss was a 2-1 loss in penalty kicks to Norman North. Edmond Santa Fe, on the other hand, is now 2-2 on the year. And by the way, if you're seeing this before this evening, we have the Edmond Santa Fe girls and boys show tonight. So you'll want to come out to Buffalo Wild Wings, the one on Ironstone Drive just off of Portland Avenue, for those shows at Buffalo Wild Wings. Again, in Oklahoma City, Edmond area off of Portland Avenue is where that show is going to be held, hosted by yours truly. Bixby boys in soccer, the team that we kicked off that highlight with. And they've got the best record in boys soccer of any of our schools right now and have posted a goal differential of 18-4. And you were out there in the 918 last night. What impressed you the most about them?
Yeah, Grace, this team just they have a lot of speed in the lineup, and they can really get down the field, make some plays happen, get away from the defense. And Pablo Bermejo had that game-winning goal that you just saw. It was late in the second half. It was awesome to see a kid like that. Coach was telling us that he's a favorite out there. The guys love him, love being around him. So it was awesome to see Pablo get that goal to put Bixby up on top and end up being the deciding factor. But even the girls' game was entertaining as well.
Yeah,
right
talk
before
about that.
Yeah, Sadie Trotter had the free kick. It resulted in a goal that put Bixby, or it tied the game. But then shortly after that, Jinx got a goal late in the second half to end up winning that. But 2 entertaining games that we had at Bixby last night.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, the boys off to a very, very hot start at 6-1. That is the second most wins in the state to this point. Only Union has more with 7. But again, Bixby with the most wins of our KREF sports schools. And of course, yeah, that free kick, that was a heck of a shot.
It was, yeah.
on that one as well. All right, that'll do it for this week's edition of the KREF High School Huddle on our KREFsports.tv YouTube channel. Remember, find a show near you, by the way, all across the Oklahoma City metro area. We've got shows going on tonight, so be in tune with our social media to find out where and what times and what sports those shows are. Again, that's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. Thank y'all so much for watching. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'll talk to you next week. Take it easy. Have a good weekend, everybody.